Hey everyone, it is late at night and I am Norman. This will be an interesting video. So the other day I was going through all of my watch feeds and I saw a bunch of articles that of course caught my attention, and I almost recorded a video that very day so that I could get it out early this week. Fortunately, I kind of sat on it a little bit and pondered it because this video is going to be quite a bit different than I originally envisioned it. So tonight I'm discussing the resurrection of Universl Geneve. Let us begin. So yeah, in going through my watch news feeds, I kept seeing Polerouters everywhere. So it turns out Universl Geneve is being brought back from the dead, and as part of the publicity campaign for that, they've produced 3 Polerouters, contemporary Polerouters. And to be perfectly honest, I was a bit nervous when I saw these articles. I almost didn't even read them, because I remember when I stumbled upon Smith's doing an homage to the Polerouter. I found that in some forum threads from the owner, and I was excited about it. It would be so cool to get a Polerouter that's contemporary. I mean, my dream would be that somebody found a Polerouter from 1955, still in its box. It had been in a warehouse all this time, and it's essentially brand new, and somehow I was able to purchase it. That's kind of my fantasy. So I was stoked about potentially getting a Smith's Polerouter. But then I saw the colorways that they were going to produce them in, and the killer for me was the stats. I mean, Smith's is a brand that puts out 36mm watches all day long. But with the Polerouter, they went with 38mm? Why? I mean, if you're gonna do an Explorer homage that's true to an Explorer at 36mm, why wouldn't you make the Polerouter homage 35 or even 34? I don't get it. So I was a bit nervous, wondering what Universl Geneve would do with the design that I love so much. I am pretty much obsessed with the Polerouter. In fact, in honor of this video, I'm wearing my Polerouter. So amazing. But I had to know, so I pulled up one of the articles and was looking at the colorways that they're making. And kind of like when Smith's did their homage to it, I'm kind of sad that there isn't a black dial with silver indices or a silver dial with all silver indices and hands. But at least with Universl Geneve's, that silver one with the gold highlights for the indices and whatnot, that one looks pretty good. And I was scrolling through the article looking for the specs on the watches, and I nearly fell over because they made these with 35mm cases. Amazing. And they even gave them micro rotor movements. So I was pretty stoked. And like I mentioned, I was about to record the video just a few hours after encountering that article. But it was the weekend, and I generally try not to work on videos on the weekend, right? It's kind of like a job. It's not a work day. And I'm glad that I waited, because as I was mulling all of this over and thinking about how crazy it is, I started realizing some dark potential here. So first off, they've made 3 Polerouters. None of them are for the public yet. 2 of them are going to go into the Universl Geneve archives, and the 3rd is going up for auction. And as I was pondering all of this, I was thinking, what direction is this newly revived Universl Geneve gonna go? And how much are these Polerouters gonna be? I started wondering if they were gonna go for a luxury angle at which point none of us rabid Polerouter fans would be able to get one, especially if we're looking at wait times like for paddocks and stuff. But yeah, so we don't know what direction they're gonna go, but they've made 3. With these Universl Geneve Polerouter SAS tribute models, we're not looking yet at commercialized watches, nor restored vintage watches. It sits somewhere in between, with these modern recreations of the original Polerouter watches, made from scratch but using vintage micro-rotor caliber 1-69 from the 1960s, which has been restored to former glory. This specific white gold and blue piece will be auctioned off at Phillips in association with Bax and Russo in May of 2025 to benefit CFP Arts in Geneva, which teaches applied arts, ensuring critical knowledge of watchmaking savoir-faire exists for generations to come. The 2 tribute Polerouter SAS editions, again unique pieces, are inspired by original Polerouter designs. The first, with a silver tone dial, is made of stainless steel with the Universl Geneve logo and the historical SAS logo in contrasting red gold. And I would agree with this article that this particular colorway is definitely the closest to the original models. The other edition is made from 18 karat red gold paired with a classic tuxedo black dial. These 2 tribute Polerouter timepieces will become part of the Universl Geneve archives. So in trying to understand where this brand might go, I went to their website. And they have a link to their history where they discuss the brand's founding, some of their milestones with some really great pictures on this page. They also have a page called Icons. And this page is dedicated to some of the iconic designs in the brand's past. So we have the Cabriolet, which is sort of Universl Geneve's reverso of sorts. So this is a tank style watch that can be flipped around, so you'd have 2 different options for the dial in one watch, like a duo face. Of course, the Polerouter is mentioned here. And then they mention the compacts, with lots of great looking shots of those watches. And I'm assuming all of these, of course, are vintage, since the brand hasn't started making watches other than these 3 Polerouters. But these particular pieces are in such great shape. As I was looking through the images, I was kind of in shock. They look brand new. There's the tri-compacts, again with amazing pictures. There's the Comper Colonial, apparently from the 1930s. There's the Space Compacts, the Aero Compacts, the A. Carelli Split Second, and the Disco Volant. So as I was wondering where this brand was going to go, I ended up stumbling upon a video over at John P. Watches, where John was discussing this, and the title of the video is They're Playing You. So of course I had to watch it. In the thumbnail there was a Polerouter, so I knew exactly what this was pertaining to. And yeah, he had some of the exact fears that were starting to cloud my thoughts about this whole thing. And he mentioned the auction and said that he's seen this happen before, where brands will start trying to build hype for like a new brand, and they'll create a watch and put it up for auction. And then they'll use that as precedence for setting the prices of their other watches. Oh, and he also mentioned that Universl Geneve was acquired by Breitling. So Breitling apparently is behind all of this. And we'll get back to that in just a moment. But with the Polerouter at least, they have kind of a tough minefield to navigate with this. Because, as John P. points out, the historical significance of the Polerouter, for me personally, is major. When I look at my Polerouter and think about its history, that is a big deal to me. However, in general, in the world's eyes, the Polerouter's historical significance doesn't translate over to value. And that's what's actually kind of cool about Polerouters. It's almost like They're right out in the open, and yet they're a hidden gem. I mean, all of us watch nerds know what they are, but their prices haven't exploded. I mean, if you go to Chrono24 or, wow, what is up with eBay's authenticity program? That's nuts. There's Polerouters on eBay under that authenticity program that are like $7,000. What? That's nuts. So you can go on eBay, and unless they're part of this program, you can pick up a Polerouter for $1,000, maybe $2,000. And that's what their prices have been at ever since I first discovered them. On Chrono24, they're a bit more expensive. They're not as expensive as the authenticated ones on eBay. That's just madness. I mean, that's getting up there into brand new Reverso prices, pretty close. Add a few more thousand on there and you're right there. Craziness. But vintage Polerouters are accessible. And the prices aren't terrible. So it's going to be interesting to see what Universl Geneve does. I was afraid they were going to go the luxury route and sell them for $10,000, $20,000 and try and be a high-end luxury brand. John P. suspects that they might go for something more mid-level, upper mid-level at like $5,000 or $6,000. But even at that price point, I could be wrong, but I feel like Polerouters have kind of a niche audience to them. I feel like most of us know about them, but a small number of people actually go for them. I don't know. But if you can get an actual Polerouter for $1,000, I agree with John. It seems like it would be a really tough sell to say, or you could get a brand new one without any of the history for $5,000. It would be cool if they went the way of Accutron with their legacy line, and if they kept them around $1,000, $1,500, somewhere around that price range, at least for the Polerouter. But then what is Breitling going to do with the brand in general? I mean, I have a bunch of Universl Geneve lists out there, and the watches that I see on eBay, most of those are gorgeous dress watches that are absolutely top-notch. They're up there with the Omegas that you see out in the vintage market. Absolutely phenomenal watches. Every now and then I'll see like a Compax or something. But in looking at their icons page on their website, I wonder if Breitling is going to go pretty much 100% sport. I mean, that's kind of their wheel well, right? So will Universl Geneve just be compacts and chronographs and their sporty pieces? Will there be a permanent line of Polerouters? And I'm a little bit nervous about what this might do to the vintage market. I mean, in the future, I would love to get a silver dial vintage Polerouter, but with the revival of the brand and potential for new Polerouters coming out and all the attention that it's giving to the design, are the vintage prices going to finally start exploding for Polerouters? And they're just going to become crazy? I really hope not. Yeah, originally this video was going to be all sunshine and roses, but the more I kept pondering it, the more I got nervous. Like, these three pieces were done super well. I applaud them for going for 35 millimeters. If they do a permanent line, it would be cool to maybe have an option of like a contemporary size and original size so people can choose. But yeah, I just started thinking of what direction are they going to go? Like, I love both the brand and this particular line, Polerouters. I mean, Universl Geneve is just amazing. And I really hope that Breitling doesn't end up ruining it. Kind of like Disney with Star Wars. Ouch. Yeah. But there you have it. An update on the resurrection of Universl Geneve and the Polerouter. Thanks for watching.